From the see-through glass corporate headquarters, Hot Topic with BP, Jake, and with him as always, you. And the man behind the monitor, Gare Bear.
Or I'm sorry, Beer Park was Thursday.
I feel like we're with the all of us wearing Cardinal hats. It feels like a Red Letter Media kind of their nerd edition. You know how they purposely wear.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Well, since the Cardinals are a winning team, yeah, the best record in the league or what have
Yeah.
you.
But rumor is the
Yeah.
Cardinals might make the playoffs.
Well, I mean, if you would have bet something like that at the beginning of the
I
year.
did bet.
Oh,
Beginning
did
of
you?
the year, I put $20 that they were going to win, get into the playoffs. I put
Okay.
$20 that they were going to win the NFC Championship, and I put $20 that they were going to win the Super Bowl. Altogether, that $60 bet will make me $1,100
Whew. If they win,
if they win.
I'll be rooting for you.
Well, right now, the first bet, it's I got a 99% chance of winning that one.
Already, because their record's so good
Already.
that they're basically guaranteed a spot in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
they got
pretty
to
much.
lose
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
game.
So that's
Even if they lose every game, right? I think they've gotten into the playoffs, or
No,
I've seen teams
they'd have to
with
win,
worse
like,
records
at
getting to
least
the
one
playoffs.
let's see, I'll tell you right now exactly how much that one bet. I mean, if I put $20, it was a conservative bet. I mean, I wasn't going to throw hundreds of dollars to it on it, but well, I mean, if I had more money,
Yeah.
if this
Yeah.
somebody was getting jobs, I'd probably throw $1,000 in there.
Yeah.
If I had the money to spend,
Absolutely.
I would have spent it. I'm not much of a gambler in the conventional sense.
Yeah, we know. Vegas knows.
Vegas
unfortunately.
knows. Yeah, all too well.
Well, you need a condom. I drink the body armor. Should be good.
No. Coconut water.
No, because it's a body armor. It's a body armor challenge. You
I'm
drink
not-
one of those, and you have sex with a prostitute. With a
Oh
condom.
shit! Because
you
you
have a
brought down
body
a
armor on.
prostitute.
Yeah.
So Cardinals winning division winner, $20 makes me $130.
Okay.
Arizona Cardinals winning the conference, that's $320.
All right.
And then just them winning the Super Bowl is $620.
Not too bad.
So right now it looks like I have one pretty much already locked in.
So you made your money back no matter what.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you made some money.
and then some.
Nice. So our Friday nights
Yeah.
will be.
Oh, and one thing, I don't think we mentioned this on our previous video on sports betting in Arizona.
Okay.
Is once you make your bet, you cannot take it back at all.
No refunds.
Yeah, we were talking. I think you were saying
Or
it's
changes.
locked in at that point, but once you make the bet, that's it. You're done.
Right, and they take your money automatically from your account
Yeah, they take the money up front. You mean?
up front, right? And then you can't.
There's no getting that money back.
Even if you put your bet on Monday and the game is on Sunday, right?
Yeah. So
You're
you got
like, I
6
can always
days.
take my bet back.
Nope.
Yeah. No.
Turns out half the team comes down with COVID. Head coach is out. There's no taking that bet
That's
back.
what I did. I put. how much did I put?
130.
Oh yeah, I put $130 on the Cardinals
How much did
to
you end up winning though?
260.
All right, doubled your money.
I did, but I almost would have not. And
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
allowed
you tried to back out.
me-
They're all sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I still won by a lot
Yeah.
because
Calm down.
they were +3.
Yeah, that's what you were
The,
saying.
the Cardinals knew you had money on them. They didn't want to let you down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
Can't
he
let
was
you
wearing a
down.
dirty jersey.
Yeah,
This is Cardinals this whole time.
I have.
Yeah.
My dirty jersey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Took one. I've been taking one for the team.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I'm like Jake over here in this stuff. Yeah, my best friend.
Yeah, there you go. Did you just call Nick your best friend on film?
I did.
Or on camera? We'll call it camera. I can't get away from the film part.
Everybody does it. Either I'll say taping. But there's no tape.
There's no tape, they're film.
There's a
That's
video.
what I was thinking. Yeah, on camera,
Yeah.
on recording.
I got you on tape. And he's got his.
Where's the tape at? I'm Facebook Live in this, so if you take my camera,
Well,
I
yeah,
mean phone.
that makes sense. But the other one, yeah, that's how you know. Do kids say that too?
They can't. They don't know what fucking tape is. They
Right.
don't know what film is.
I think they know what film, but not tape.
How could they know what film is? They've never
Well,
seen
you
like
still
a
have
camera.
film in movie studios and stuff.
I bet you they record on, like Avengers and shit. That's all record on digital.
It
cameras.
depends on the director because what's his name?
That's fair.
The director for like Kill Bill. And,
Oh, Reservoir Dogs we were just talking about?
right.
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
What the hell's his name?
Quentin Tarantino.
Right. He's
Yeah, he'll
huge
only film on film.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
it gives
yeah.
it that.
But I bet if you looked at a majority of them, and especially over
No,
the last
digital.
10 or 20 years,
Sure.
you know.
I mean, I'm not a
Yeah, it is.
film doctor.
Yeah, I'm not a film doctor.
Cinematographer doctor, but
Rocket Doctor.
It's true.
yeah.
Isn't that weird though?
What is?
Just the whole film thing. I think it's a generational thing. It has to be because cameras were big for us. I remember getting an old, like shoulder top video camera from my grandpa.
My mom bought a video camera that had the small little cassettes,
Oh, okay. Yeah. No.
and I ended up breaking it,
Oh
and
shit.
I didn't tell her because I was doing stop motion with it. So I had it, and you would hit play and then stop. and
Yeah, I
your
made a bunch of.
character
I
play
made.
and
I know
stop.
exactly.
And I
what
kept
you-
doing
yeah.
it, and then it stopped working. I was like, oh, just put it away.
You only hit the button so many times before it stops
And
working.
then- yeah.
The button's good for 1,000 clicks.
But she never made a big deal out of it. She just thought it just broke on its own.
She probably thought it did, and like, yeah, that's a piece of shit. And then never got one again.
No,
No.
and that was it.
She tried it. Oh, it'll be great. We'll record our family thing. Takes
Uh-huh.
out of the box, goes to record some stuff, and it's broken.
It's broken.
Fucking probably just out of warranty. Oh,
Made
probably.
in China.
Yeah, just past. Oh, you can't return after 90 days, 91 days.
Uh-huh.
All
I
those
thought
things.
because she's a very, I wouldn't say, she's Mexican. So,
Okay, frugal.
no, not frugal. When something goes wrong, I mean, she lets you know, and spankings, and
Oh,
yelling at you. I
I'm
was
sure-
waiting for it,
I'm
and
sure
then
she
nothing
found out.
happened.
Yeah,
So it was really odd. It kind of threw me for a loop.
it was the twins. I swear.
Is it the Baldwin killing?
No,
Did you hear about that?
I did hear about that. I like how he got two people. You know.
Oh yeah.
Because he got the director and the director of
No, the
cinematographer. Yeah, the cinematographer and the director.
two
Yeah.
birds with one.
What did he shoot through one?
He did.
That's got to be two
He's like,
shots.
wow, these are really
Yeah, there's a lot of kick on this blend.
Boom!
On these blends.
Oh, you think he had like a shotgun or something?
No, I don't know. I thought it was just a handgun.
I figured it was like a cowboy pistol because they said it was like a western.
He's got it up here. Alec Baldwin speaks out on shooting.
Said he was working with the cops.
Well, he has to.
Right.
Where's he gonna go to Florida? Fake his death?
Alec Baldwin? Probably not.
Because that's what
Yeah, the.
Laundrie, something like Thomas Laundrie.
Did he fake his death? I must have missed that part.
No, but it's how it's so weird that
He disappeared into the swamp.
into the swamps, and then they found dental, and it's like, oh, we got dental records.
It's like a physical copy, like a folder with
Yeah.
papers in it. Oh, we found his dental records.
No. Because so I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't heard much about it.
They found his clothes in a decomposed
Yeah.
body, right? or
things that
something.
belong to him.
Yeah.
But they're still trying to identify the body. But
Somebody killed somebody
they
else.
said it would been in the water a long time, so it's been hard to identify.
I just think
No,
it's,
they think it's him, but they're not sure yet.
Well, they said they talked to the park ranger, and they said people you can't survive in that. You see, you can't just go into the park and live.
But it wasn't that, like, it's really close to the town.
Oh, I'm sure.
They found it.
Obviously, he beat the shit out of a bum. dumped his body in there with his backpack in it. You know, he murdered that poor girl.
He
was
did
arguing with
strangle
that.
her.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if he's dead, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's not dead.
If he came home 2 days later
Yeah.
and you couldn't get a hold of her, you're going to arrest that guy. It's as simple as that. And then once you find out what happened to her, okay, she's fine. Now you let him go.
Well, I mean, it's innocent until proven guilty, right?
It was
Yeah,
probable
well, it was
cause.
a weird thing because it was like, which
unless you're
police, because the
Minority,
FBI wasn't
and they
involved
do
yet.
arrest you.
We got some stories about that. About arrest rates and bail.
I saw a Reddit video where they're arresting a black guy, and a white lady came out. She's like, "No, he's the victim. What are you doing? Those white guys over there, they're the ones that were there was some sort of road rage with their car, and he called the police.
Yeah.
And then the police showed up and started arresting.
Him.
Pretty much, and it's all on video. It's all on tape.
I used to work with a colored fellow.
So
at GameStop. Like I said, I mean, nicest. You wouldn't be able to tell from the phone, And he was saying he was at a party when he was 20.
Yeah.
And the police busted up the party and only arrested him and charged him with underage drinking. And there was a bunch of people doing it. Obviously, it was a party, but he was the only one that caught a charge. And he wanted to be a pilot. He was going to school to be a pilot. And he was talking about how much that's going to fuck up his chances because they have very strict background checks.
Really?
For pilots.
You're going to judge a kid?
That's what
he was underage.
That's what he was saying. That's going to be his excuse. He said, "Look, I was 20. I was at a party drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. It's not like a violent charge, that just got me for drinking underage." But I was more disturbed at the story because he was the only one that got busted. And it's like, it's like, what the fuck? So,
it is. It's a very touchy subject too.
Well, it's
talk
touchy on a
about
lot of sides.
in public and stuff because you try to argue the middle, and it's so hard.
Only a little bit of racism. Everybody equal. I'm trying to reach across the aisle.
Yeah. But it's
what's the saying? Poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
Yeah. I mean, I see where he's coming from because, where are the just let's take Phoenix. Where are the better schools at? They're in Scottsdale, North.
They're
Scottsdale,
in a wider demographic part of town.
Predominantly,
as somebody who went to not white majority
South
school.
Phoenix.
Yeah, right. Like we went to a Central Phoenix high school.
Camelback High
School. 4,000 kids, 2,000 freshmen. I say 2/3, 3/4 Hispanic. What do you think the demographics were?
Do you think they were just as smart as white kids?
I know they were. Most of the smart kids at the school were Hispanic.
Some of the Valley Victorians were Hispanic, but so freshman year it starts off predominantly Hispanic.
Yeah, 2,000 kids.
And then senior year,
1,400 of them are Hispanic.
It ends up being like
400 or 500 kids.
70% white and 30% Hispanic.
Yeah, it's
And
basically the
drop out
demographic
of it.
shifts.
It shifts.
Yeah, so it starts, 70 Hispanic, 30 everything else,
Mm-hmm.
and then by the end it's 70 everything else.
I wonder what the great art
Hispanic.
academies are, what their demographics are. So those are two of the best schools in the country.
Private schools.
No, they're not private. They're a charter school. They're not a private school.
So,
but yeah, they have two of the best.
could Jackie go to Great Arts? I mean, you have to pay, right?
Yeah, if she had enough money.
No, I don't think they're.
So what do you test into it? How do you get in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lottery system as far as I know.
What if a dumb kid
So you
wins the
have to,
lottery?
Well, then there'd probably
like-
be more things. So I see what you're saying here.
Yeah.
We've had very similar arguments before. So it's think of the demographic of people that would drop out to the demographic of people that would apply.
Well,
for
Great Arts
school
is
like that.
no, it goes all the way through high school.
I think it does.
The
Yeah.
reason I say this is because just like at any school, there's going to be a gifted class. There's going to be people that want to succeed. It was like that at
Well, that's the
Canada
thing,
as well.
because they do say that.
And so the people that
parents
apply for that school,
Yeah,
it's not going to be,
I don't
oh, my
know,
kid's a
they-
dropout. Let me apply for this.
Why not? Might as well.
Because he's not going to go.
You just got Jake.
He just got jaked. He just bought his way in the back door.
Just thought, yeah, you took someone else's
Right.
and he's not even going.
Yeah.
It's funny he brings up Greyhearts because
Yeah, non-profit charters.
I had to replace one of the windows there,
Okay.
and big panel, floor to ceiling, and
Big piece of glass.
yeah, and they had the classroom full of kids, and they knew that we were there to switch that paint out, and we were like, hey,
And they
kids.
just left the kids right there?
They were like right next to the window, so I went in there and said, "Hey, we're going to be replacing this glass. It's broken. Can we have?" First of all, we thought it was going to be an empty class.
As it should be.
Should be, right?
Yes.
They're like,
This is a big ass piece of glass. What if I drop it on a kid or something?
pretty much. And so we said, we need you to move at least these kids out of the way. And
First row.
and so they did, but they just moved them like 4 feet forward. We're like, all right, well, I got to get this job done. So we did our job. Well, from what I noticed, it was predominantly white.
I'm sure. And it would be like AP or gifted classes at Camelback.
Yeah.
It's not, they scoop all the, the top 10%, and then they go through a different class, and then everybody
Well,
else.
freshman year, I was an honor roll.
Yeah, me too.
classes.
I did core classes.
5.0, not
Is-
4.0, because honor roll is counted for extra points.
What
Extra
are the points? I don't remember that. The system changed, the grading system,
sworn.
while we were there.
Right.
But I got swooped up in my guitar class, and
You
I
took
was
guitar lessons?
I took guitar lessons, yeah. And not only did I take guitar lessons, I was part of the engineering core program for drafting and stuff like that.
Were we in any clubs?
I was in some clubs.
Because I know Luis and I, we were in Toastmasters.
I did.
And then,
Oh God, what did they call
because
it?
we ended up going to New
It was-
Mexico for.
I was part of JAG.
Oh yeah, we were there. I was
Yeah.
there. Yeah, it was.
Me and you and Leon and Evis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So JAG was
Mhm.
one, and then
Didn't we take a trip?
we did one to ASU. Remember we put on a fashion show?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I got all done up,
Uh huh. Mm-hmm.
and then everybody hated me because
Yeah.
I was wearing makeup.
Is that what you're saying? It was the makeup.
It was the makeup.
Not your personality.
They weren't ready for
Uh-huh.
it. Is the problem?
What
it was
are you
a
doing?
simpler time.
Can I help you?
It was a simpler time.
Uh huh.
People weren't ready for me to come out and
Be
like done up.
fabulous. Uh-huh.
Yeah, done up. And I was wearing Evis's clothes because
Yeah.
I didn't have any nice clothes to wear, and it was a fashion show.
Right.
And I added myself to the fashion show because
Extra tight buttons.
I wasn't supposed to be in it. So they gave Evis an outfit
Yeah.
to wear because it was for the fashion show. And
Uh-huh.
I wore his clothes
Yeah.
because they were already so nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I wore his clothes into the fashion show, and then I took his spot
Yeah.
because he was supposed to be the first one out.
Oh,
and I
okay.
came out first.
Uh-huh.
And I wasn't even supposed to be in it. So I just went and got my makeup done and then put on Evis's clothes and walked right out. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Too sexy for my shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Greyhearts actually gets less funding than district schools.
It's a really nice school, though.
I'm sure.
It is.
How does it make its money?
Probably.
They do get some money from the state.
I'm sure.
I'm sure parents.
Private funding.
They do
Right.
get some funding.
Well, it has to say how they get their money. So you can just go to look at the finances.
Well, I mean, like they have their finances on here.
Exactly. I look stuff like this
But
up all
a
the
lot
time.
of the parents that were dropping off their kids just, $70,000, $80,000 cars, $100,000 cars. Real nice.
Yeah, private schools are like that.
Mhm.
This isn't private school.
Well, I bet if I looked into it a little bit, I could probably find some private.
Because there's only,
funding
I'm
for
sure
profit
there's,
thing.
I mean, there's a limit on how many students are in that class.
There's a limit.
And-
It's limited by the state to you have to have so many certified personnel per student. So, like, a classroom can only have, and it's set by the state, 30 kids to one teacher because they're certified staff. So, but for there, I bet it's half that. It's probably 15 kids per class.
Yeah. And then certain people want their kids to be in there, so.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you pay
Free stuff.
extra, you get a class with less kids in it.
Well, not only that, but what are they grease that palm? Is that the
Mhm.
saying? Yeah.
Oh, my kid's entering on a sports scholarship.
Uh What does he play? Water polo.
No.
I've never done it.
Yeah,
that was the.
that was what they were saying. Then you guys don't even have a pool.
Then there's no pool.
There's no pool.
That's how good they are.
Yeah, right?
Don't even need a pool.
He got a fucking scholarship on that shit. They don't even have a pool. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Mm.
One of the things.
what were we talking about?
Well, one of my strong beliefs, and this leads into it to 1/3 of the way,
Yeah.
is I don't think schools should ever be for profit. I don't think schools should be for profit. I don't think
Well, like
You mean public
these
school?
are non for profit.
public schools. No. Education.
I only
period.
bring up the great arts because they're. I
So-
know they're two of the best schools in the country.
So, like schools,
Yeah.
hospitals, prisons should never be for profit. Those, because by definition, they'll always put financial interests above the outcome of either the prisoner, which would be rehabilitation, the hospital, so the patient, so patient outcome, or student outcome. So you would have you would put financial.
You mean the profits?
You put profits before the people.
Right.
So that's why I don't feel those three industries specifically should be a for-profit industry. So I don't think schools should be private schools. You can have private schools. I'm not opposed to that. But I want to fund public schools. And if you want to send your kid to a private school, that's fine. But you got to pay for it.
Right.
You don't use taxpayer money for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's simple as that. And if you don't like it, you'll have, in my world, a top rate school to send your kids to public school that comes out of taxpayer funds that you don't have to pay for. And so I feel because you would put student outcome over profits.
Right.
That's what you say this about, public schools cost so much money. It's because they don't generate income. It's not a for-profit institution. And when you put
That
for-profit...
doesn't mean that they're run well, though, either.
It doesn't, but they're run with a lot more oversight, and they're also run with student outcome as a higher priority than profits.
You would hope so. But it's not always about profit. It's about how that money is used.
Schools don't make money, so there's no profit to be had.
No, but that doesn't.
Private schools make
Just
money
because there's
so
no
they
profit doesn't mean that they're use their resources well or allocate them well or do anything like that. Like, it's not a guarantee. Like, I understand your point, and in general, I agree with it. I'm just saying that it doesn't mean that there's not corruption.
It's
just because
okay.
There's no profit.
Yeah, that's fair.
There absolutely is.
But that's why there's so many levels of oversight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
on state, federal, local,
just like any
I mean,
other
every
oversight,
level, there's so much oversight and
it
transparency
doesn't-
that you get on the public side that you don't on the private side. So like a public school district,
Yeah.
They are forced to disclose all this stuff, and they're not for
Well,
profit.
and so does this.
Well, because they take taxpayer funds, that means they're required to release certain information.
So
But that's not all private schools, right?
No, well,
that's
this is not a private school.
You also said it wasn't for profit,
Yeah,
right?
it's not. It's a
Yes.
charter school. It's a non.
But I'm talking
non-for-profit charter
specifically
school.
for profit.
But
That's what I'm
obviously,
talking
like, schools like this can be extremely successful, even a lot more successful than district schools,
Okay.
if they're run correctly and they're not for profit.
How many kids go to that school?
I don't know.
How many kids go to the Phoenix Public School District number 1? That's all the great schools in Phoenix. It's a small part, but what about the Mesa School District?
No, like
How many
the,
kids go
the
there?
idea is
500,000.
because
Yeah, as opposed to
I'm sure it has the
1,400.
same amount of kids that go to a regular school. Like that's not the.
No, it is an
So,
assumption.
like, when you look at
Well, I don't know. I've
schools
never
like
even heard
this,
of
like
that.
when you want to like figure out what they're doing so right, and
Yeah,
try to model.
I
other
don't
schools
have
after
to.
that.
I don't have
I
to
mean,
see to know what they're doing right. They're spending more money per pupil.
No, they're not.
No, that's exactly what they're doing.
They're
I don't even have to look it up. I can tell you, never even having heard of this school before, I bet you, because they get money from the state. That's why they have to be so
so
transparent.
they get less
Then they
state
get
funding because they don't
extra
get
money.
local funding. They only get state dollars. They do get. So here's
So they get
here's their
state and
financials
federal,
right
but they
here.
don't. Yeah. Does it say how much profit they made?
They don't make profit.
Oh, does it say how much they
They're
lost?
not
then?
for profit. So, they have like their per pupil spending, all that stuff. All that stuff's on here.
Yeah. So what's their per pupil spending?
So total per pupil spending is $88.57.
$8,857
So
per
prob-
student.
So what's now look up per pupil spending for a public school in Arizona?
Oh, like $1,000.
Half that, 1,300.
No, it's not.
No.
I'm sure.
Well, because I think they get about that much from both the federal and the state, and then they probably get about that much from local. So it'd probably be about half that. But we'll find out right now, man, behind the monitor.
Mhm.
Schools.
He's really against government doing things other than military.
Well, the military is one of the most important things that the government does. Guarding our borders is very
Well,
to the extent that's not our borders.
Well, I'm not against government doing everything. I'm just saying that, government just making government doesn't make it.
it's right there.
So
So what's the number?
yeah,
What's the bid?
$86.25 per pupil in public
So
schools.
way
compared-
less than the other.
Huh? No, it's
Yeah,
not.
it's hundreds of dollars.
Well,
It's not even
but it's
hundreds.
more.
Literally
It's more or less. What is it?
88.57 versus
It's 100 and change. Go back because
86.25.
that's U of A.
So they do. So that's already to start. They also limit who they take. You know what I'm saying? Even if it is through a lottery, it's still for people that apply. Where
Yeah.
public schools are required to take everybody.
Yeah,
And people are
I
required
understand.
to go to public
I'm-
schools. So
I know there are.
the
I'm
race,
saying like
people are going to drop out
you
of public
can't run
schools.
every school like Great Hearts, but like you should look at what they're doing right. You know
Well,
what I mean?
it
And
is-
like try to
And
emulate
it's like,
that.
does it say how many pupils they have per staff member?
I'm sure it does.
I'm sure it's probably a
But
requirement.
they're like their teachers. I was just
Because
thinking, like,
that
their
counts
teachers
too.
are
It's
about
not
the
just
average. Like they're not paying their teachers a ton more.
so they're paying their teachers more.
No, they're not.
Well, hundreds of dollars more
No,
because
they're
it
not.
adds up. I'm sure. And so the reason I brought this up is I found a funny one for private prisons because that's kind of a big hot topic thing, especially over the last couple of years since the pandemic, especially because a lot of migrants have been detained in private facilities and actually contracted out to work for $1 an hour to make profits
Pretty
for
much slave labor.
yeah. And so this,
Which I honestly have no problem with prisoners doing labor.
I have no problem with it either. It's a way for them to pay back society for the damage they caused. But like refugees, they're not criminals. They're not incarcerated felons.
They use refugees as well.
These are the immigrants that they're detaining. Yes, they're refugees. They're coming here for refugee status, and so they're taking these and they're incarcerating them, imprisoning them, and then using their labor, which they're paid $1 an hour for, and then they use their labor contracted out for a number of things, housekeeping and food services, and I'm sure digging ditches and the whole 9 yards. So, war on drugs, 1980s, right? From 1986 to 2014, the number went from 0 privately incarcerated people in private prisons to 131,000, which is about 10% of the overall population.
Did somebody say that the United States has more people
Incarcerated?
than any other country in the world?
When they say that, they don't mean any other country. They mean like developed countries.
Right.
Because China has billions of Uyghurs incarcerated in camps.
That's true.
And so, I mean, that's more than our entire population, prison population right there. And that's, you know...
Do they call it imprisonment? I thought they were calling it rehabilitation centers.
Isn't that what prison is? Isn't that what prison is for?
Re-education camps.
Rehabilitation.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're imprisoning people, you're imprisoning people.
Right.
Call it whatever you want.
That's what,
Rose by any other name. But if you're fucking locking somebody up, you're locking them up. There ain't no, you can't argue that. Okay, let them go.
But that's their argument.
Well, I'm just
I'm not
saying that's
saying-
not a valid argument. that's not an actual argument.
To get
That's what they're
through
saying.
a roundabout way with human rights.
Well, it only when countries like ours go along with it, and then somebody says, "Oh, America has the largest prison industrial complex," blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But it's like, but that's only because you're not looking at China.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When America does have an
Oh, it
incarceration
does.
problem.
Oh, don't get me. I
It's like-
got a couple things I want to go on about that.
But
I'm
it's
just
not.
saying, to be
a
fair.
lot of people think that there's hundreds of thousands of people in prison for non-violent drug offenses, low-level drug offenses,
There are.
which is not true.
There is. That's it. 100%
No,
true.
it's like 1% of the prison population.
1%.
Yeah, are in there
1%.
for like
Marijuana
non-violent-
possession.
No,
non-violent drug.
non-violent drug possession.
Right.
possession. Yeah.
So not just marijuana,
Right,
that's
right,
any
right.
drug.
Right.
Just having a drug
Right.
isn't a violent crime.
Mm-hmm.
You like robbing somebody or breaking into a house, that's a violent crime.
But yeah, there's not a lot of those people in
Having a gun and drugs sometimes can be a violent crime.
Mm.
The amount of drugs you have could be a violent
So do
crime.
you have the breakup of? Because he's saying it's only 1% of.
As far as mine's more of an in general thing. I don't have it. Why don't you look up percentage of incarcerated Americans for nonviolent crimes? You know what I'm saying? Because I definitely think violent criminals should be incarcerated. And some
Say
people
that again. It was percentage of.
American prisoners imprisoned for nonviolent crimes. All right. So they do say that we have the largest prison system in the world. Some people say that, but again, that's not including China. And I'm sure if I looked into some other stuff, there's probably other countries that have black sites and things that do the same thing.
It's also one of these things where
I put percentage of U.S. prisoners for drugs.
Mm-hmm.
It says 15% of state prisoners at year end of 2015 had been convicted of drug offense as their most serious infraction. In comparison, 47% of federal
But-
prisoners serving time in September 2016.
But that's not. I'm talking about low-level drug offenses. Most of those are going to be.
That's what this says, just drug offense.
No, I understand,
As
but-
their most serious
Yeah.
infraction.
Yes, but is it drug dealing? Like, what's the what were they convicted of?
I
I'm
didn't
talking about user level.
Well,
people
because
who are in for user
well,
level drugs. You know
part
what
of
I
the
mean?
problem with
like
the
you
user
got caught
with the user level drug offenses
Yeah.
is you have to pay a lot of fines and you have to go through a lot of things. And then if you don't pay your fines and you don't go to all your classes, you get busted for parole violation or something like that. And then you're in the system for something completely unrelated. A lot of that stuff you have to pay for yourself. So if you can't afford to go through drug treatment programs or whatever, you stay locked up. Is part of the problem. And that's a problem that comes more and more. One of the ways they gouge prisoners is they charge $1 a minute for phone calls.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if you want to talk to your family or your lawyer or something like that,
That's one. The other one is
lawyer. I think they have to let you talk to. They don't charge you for that, but
hope so.
everything else, yeah.
vending machines that they have in there.
Yeah, the vending. All
Talk
that
about gouging.
They call it the Cantina Fund. And if you're the victim of a crime, you're entitled to part of the prisoner's compensation. If people put money on his cantina account, or if he works to pay off his debt in some way, you're entitled to half that money until he's paid back damages owed. From 2000 to 2016, the private prison population increased 5 times faster than public prisons. So just over the last, 4 presidents or so, that number has literally skyrocketed. The federal government is the largest user of private prisons. 27 states also use private prisons. The largest group, it's called the GEO Group. This is the largest company, the largest for-profit private prison company. GEO Group it's called. I couldn't find out what GEO stands for. It's all capitalized, GEO. It's just called GEO Group. I even called the company themselves. Corporate headquarters, marketing. I even did the investment one, but they never called me back.
Yeah.
They wouldn't tell me what it stood for. Nobody would say. They're like, "Are you a reporter?" I'm like, "I'm not a reporter. I'm not affiliated with any media outlet. I just want to fucking know." And then they would like, "Oh, okay." Transfer me to somebody else. "Oh, I don't know. Here, leave a number." And
It's just like BP.
It's-
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Well-
They have 114 facilities worldwide. Did you have something you wanted to add?
No. I'm still reading on this whole.
Well, no, and like in general, I think that we need to reform a lot of like the prison system.
Yeah, especially a company like this. This is an S&P 600 company.
But whether it's run, and I'm not arguing for private prisons, I'm just saying that whether it's run by the government, because the government don't run them very well either.
Well, you know why the government doesn't run them well? Because this is what you would call a social equity program. Prison rehabilitation.
Funding.
This is a socialist program. Rehabilitation for your prisoners.
Right.
So they outsource it
and
to a private company.
The problem is, like, prisons are supposed to be for rehabilitation, and they don't do a very good job.
Then what's the point?
Well, that's what a lot of people argue.
Well, if you defund them, right, you can't tell me their public prisons are properly funded, right? Because you know they're going to be way understaffed. You don't even have to look it up. You just know, right? They're probably on strike right now. I think there actually is a strike with...
Well, the way public or like private prisons work is they're guaranteed
money from the government.
Well, not a number of prisoners,
Yeah,
but
it is.
guaranteed.
They're guaranteed. They sign contracts with the state.
The prisoner doesn't matter. It's
but
that
they'll
they
pay for so many beds.
they get paid based on 100% occupancy, whether they're 100% or not. So
Right.
it's not on the prison. It doesn't matter for the prison itself whether it has more or less prisoners, because they get paid the same.
Through the federal contract. maybe.
For the state, it's like, if we're paying for these prisoners, then we might as well use that space.
Might as well use
So they're more likely to send people to jail. You know what I mean? Like if it was a
If we had
government
space-
prison, I'm actually agreeing with you. It's
Yeah.
like say a government runs a prison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? And so they have to pay per prisoner, so we'll incentivize them to pay, like, not incarcerate people more, because then they have to pay per prisoner that's in prison.
Mhm.
Now in a private prison, they already have to pay that money regardless of whether, so they're like, we might as well put this person in jail.
So we might as well-
because
we
we're
already paid for the bed.
There was a,
We
there
might
was
as
a
well use
judge
it.
that
Yeah.
got caught sending kids. I think it was in Texas.
Yeah, that's a big story that's going on right now.
That to prison for like.
It was a made-up offense that she made up, and then there was a program that was run that she also helped create,
And she's getting kickbacks from
and
it.
it was you send these kids through this program,
Yeah.
and they go to the prison. Every kid gets arrested no matter what.
Mhm.
Then at the prison, it was up to the officers to decide which ones were actually risk, and then they would let some go, and then they would incarcerate some. And then the facility that they were incarcerating them from would get money per kid, right?
Yeah.
Per incarcerated individual.
Yeah.
So some of them will get let go, some of them will get incarcerated, up to the officers to decide. So you know how fair officers
But
are.
those aren't always all private programs. Some of those are state because they want more funding. Because they get more
in
funding
this case, it was a
based on-
private.
Well, in this
I'm
case,
just saying
yeah,
in
most of the
general,
stories you hear on the news, they're private
I'm
prisons.
just saying that the state funding is just as corrupt, where it
But it's-
incentivizes because they can be like, oh, we need more funding.
No, because state funded fall under the purview of legislators, and so you have these legislators that are conservative, let's just say, and they want small government when it comes to social equity programs. So instead of having, it's just like a school. One teacher for every 20 students, that costs a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So you got to pay teachers more. The more teachers you have, the more it costs. It's the same thing with a prison. If you have rehabilitation programs, that costs more money. If you have more guards to inmates,
Right.
that costs more money. So you're already paying to incarcerate them, then you're paying to rehabilitate them, then you're paying to oversee them and house them and feed them. So just cut that budget. And then, oh, look, it's just prisoners, who gives a shit? And then right back into the system.
Right.
And then, oh, we'll just outsource it because they get kickbacks. For example, this company, the Geo Group,
Yeah.
in 1984, Okay, had a $1 billion bribery scheme in Mississippi, 2016, under Obama. Bribery scheme to incarcerate people, $1 billion worth, and that was just 1 year in Mississippi, one place. They have 114 facilities worldwide in 4 different continents. There are 56 facilities here in America. And one of the reasons I brought this up, half of their revenue, over half of their revenue comes straight from the federal government. They just get paid, basically subsidized by the government, to house hundreds of thousands of people.
Well, that's, that comes from lobbying.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's exactly where that comes from. Right. Their revenue last year, $2.5 billion in profit. $2.5 billion profit.
They probably dropped, a couple $100,000.
Yeah,
it's
heard very cheap.
Running again.
Oh, I actually have
on your campaign, and then they,
Here, let me walk you through a timeline real quick.
But people don't understand this.
February 23rd, 2017. Just appointed Jeff Sessions receives 2016 guidance, right? Group Vice President Pablo Playas defended $225,000 donation to a pro-Trump political action party. Geo and Civic Corps, because these are 2 different groups, each donated $250,000 to a committee to fund Trump's inaugural festivities. Geo gave an additional $275,000 to a Trump pro-PAC. Because of that, they were awarded during the pandemic the contract to house all those migrants. You remember they swooped up all the migrants on the border,
all the
families, all the caravans,
Yeah.
and they housed them at different facilities in Texas, in Arizona, in California. And you remember there was a bunch of scandals because of all the sexual harassment charges, because they were molesting the children and doing all these things. This is that company. This is that Geo Group. This is that company that, remember the hotel downtown?
Yeah.
They converted into a migrant facility. This is that company. They made $2.5 billion last year.
Oh yeah.
All from the government, because they spread around $1 million and it bought them the contracts to house all those migrants.
That's pretty much how politics, that's how they work now with lobbying. If you want any kind of government contracts, you gotta grease that wheel, or what was it, grease that palm?
Yeah, smiling glad hands. You gotta move that money, and it's not much.
Right.
$1 million?
No.
What's that investment?
That's
$1,000. That's 25,000 percent return on $1 million fucking bucks.
Yeah.
And that's just profit. So I'm assuming they probably made twice that.
And again,
that company probably.
People don't understand that. They make it complicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that and boring, so people don't want to educate themselves on it. These things happen. They don't want to hear it because
that's why I like to do
even
stuff
if,
like this.
Yeah, even if you are educated on it and like trying to keep up on all the different moving parts of it.
Well,
no, I'm agreeing with you.
And the other thing is you don't hear it in the mainstream media.
Well, that's kind of why I thought this would be so great.
They operate basically the same way.
They're talking about the protest on Dave Chappelle and the walkout. It's like, but they're not covering. There's a huge there's another protest. There's a walkout. In the Midwest, it has to deal with John Deere, the tractor company, and how shitty they want to pay their employees.
Oh yeah, they probably got a new contract. Yeah,
and it was really bad.
They want to do a 2-tiered system, and
I have not seen that on.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. There's like a dozen nationwide strikes going on right now.
Oh yeah,
hundreds, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of employees from correctional facilities to.
But the right wing media doesn't cover it, and the left wing media doesn't.
Well, because
they're
all paid by the same people.
And they're all, well, this is Biden's fault, and it was like, well, this is trickle down from Trump's fault. It's like, but it's not.
These are a whole new set of problems that are here.
It's not
right
those
now.
puppets. It's these fucking companies.
You gonna put Biden up, fucking dog-faced pony soldier Biden?
No, that's like the president, gets put a lot of stuff that have nothing to do with the president. They're just,
You sound like
the
Bill Clinton.
convenient, figurehead for things. But yeah, and that's part of what they talk about when they talk about like the deep state. Is these, very entrenched?
No,
because it's the bureaucracy. It's
No,
the people that are in government.
that is completely false.
No.
No.
Who's the deep state?
No.
I know.
Is it companies?
No.
It's,
Please let me finish.
did you?
Okay, I'm
did
sorry,
let me
Gary.
finish?
You.
When I say deep state,
Okay.
I'm not talking about the crazy fucking Trump. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
Okay.
about the actual deep state,
All
which
right.
is these, bureaucrats that have worked in the government forever. They're like the people that you're talking about that
Like Fauci,
they make
example. Nobody knew who the
decisions
fuck Fauci was.
for these companies.
He's the head of the CDC or whatever. Something
And-
comes up. Oh, look at him. He's been here for 40 years. Nobody fucking knew. He works for the government. He wasn't elected. He worked his way up. He's the head of the CDC or whatever.
Oh, he's got degrees too.
I'm just saying. That's what
anybody.
That's what you're talking about, right, Garrett? These non-elected government officials.
Well, they're just that are in the in the government forever,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
that's
30,
where
40
a lot
years.
of like.
yeah,
that-
retiring on
Now
that
they
sweet
work
government
with
pension.
politicians. Politicians are also corrupt.
Okay.
I absolutely agree on that.
All right.
But yeah, it's all the people behind this because the politicians are the face, but there is a huge, bureaucracy that works
that
behind the
is
scenes.
the government.
That is the actual government,
All right.
and those people, are not elected, and
Well, a lot of it is.
Okay, I'm sorry, just
Yeah.
real fast, just real quick. So, they're not elected. And so I've heard this argument plenty of times. The deep state, these unelected officials, the bureaucrats that run the government, they don't run the government. That's not the policymakers. Those aren't the people behind the scenes making deals. When you say the deep state, they try to frame it as these lifers working at the fucking IRS, but what it really is large corporations and incredibly wealthy individuals using lobbyists to buy power behind the scenes. That's the deep state. So to frame it as unelected public officials,
Yeah.
that is completely false.
No,
because that's not
just a front.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to misinform people.
You're gonna-
That's the deep
You're going
state.
to take the blame for the next, 4 years. Here's your money.
Yeah, you take it on the chin. You get to be president one day. You don't know.
Not just president, senators, congressmen.
Oh, all the time. They
Yeah.
cost so little money.
And now they're not passing certain bills or
Yeah.
certain,
Cinema. There's your perfect
That's
example.
one of them, yeah.
It's just the ultra liberal, first openly
But not just
bisexual
that, but
senator.
also,
Bought off.
when you want a certain pipeline to go a certain way, you kick back on
How about what do they call
deregulating
it?
EPA or
Bears Ear National Park. Remember, Trump shrunk the size of it because they wanted to explore it for natural resources,
Mhm.
right? Biden comes in, actually expands the size of it, makes it bigger than it was before,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just it swings back and forth because you know who else has a lobby? Environmentalists. It's not as big or as powerful, but they still try
I don't know. Environmental's a pretty big lobby.
compared to the oil lobby, compared to the mining lobby. They're nothing. They're literally a drop in the bucket. That's why they focus on one thing instead of an entire industry.
yeah. No, it's
So that's kind of where I wanted to go with this. These are one of those things. It's power plays behind the scenes through people that aren't elected. It's true. They just are rich government. They're just rich companies that buy basically government subsidies.
yeah, and then what do you do about it?
And it ends up costing more in the long run.
I guess as an individual, keep your nose clean.
What can we do about it besides
Well,
talk about it?
Besides talk about it, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
you cannot get caught up in the system.
don't get caught up in the system. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't.
Yeah, try to get elected. Do your own research.
Right.
There's things you could do.
Right.
You
But you drain it up to where
to drain the swamp.
not the swamp, but I'm talking like, if there's not people to be arrested to send into prison, then they're gonna lose.
They're not
their-
these kind of crimes. Yeah.
Right.
So what do you do in that end? Again, you make it so some things aren't for profit. You make it so that prisons aren't for profit.
Yeah, but those are wheels that are spinning already. That
So that's what you work towards.
That also doesn't fix the inherent like cultural crime problem that we have.
Well, so I also have a solution.
And
for
not
that.
just crime, but
And
like
that's-
drugs fall into that.
Yeah, but again,
30,000 people a year right now are dying from opiate overdoses. That's 3 times the homicide rate.
So
it's not, and our homicide rate's high.
yeah.
because
So
of drugs.
what do? Is from a young age,
Well-
you teach them well,
Mhm.
you give them a good education, you give them good health care, and you give them a stable place to live. And that 95% of criminals and drug users are taken care of. Because they don't go down those channels because they're properly educated,
Yeah.
they're properly fed, they don't
Yeah.
have those concerns. What is a kid that doesn't know where they're going to live or where their food comes from? Kids don't understand how to deal with those problems. That's how kids get fucked up. And
Well,
then
right now there's a huge, lack of a better word, bureaucracy. Like you look at neighborhoods, inner city neighborhoods, Baltimore, Chicago,
okay,
New York. There's this huge machine of drug dealers
Yeah.
that are, and they just swallow up these kids. Like a lot of these kids don't really have a choice. Like you kind of get forced or bullied into
doing drugs.
things as well. Not doing drugs,
but just
selling
being
drugs
part
and-
of part of
Yeah.
the
being
culture or
these
whatever.
corner kids, being these.
But again, that's a funding issue. If you-
in part, it's just, yeah, I think you're right. Like we need, because we know where the areas are really bad.
yeah, and it's just like
it's
you always
not
say.
hard to see, and yeah, it's like how do you change that? The culture.
You can't.
well-
Without the culture, it's just there's so much money involved.
Yeah.
Money, kickbacks.
Well,
it's
part of it
it's
is,
a
like, legalizing
you're
drugs,
going to go into a
certain
rabbit hole.
drugs, I think.
And,
Well-
and it goes deep, this rabbit hole. And now,
Yeah.
it's probably something that I wouldn't want to talk about. A lot of corruption, and
That's why, like, I think
Yeah,
certain
some
drugs
things,
should be legalized, and then we should focus
Regulate and tax it.
enforcement on, like opiates and meth.
Well, yeah, meth would be a good one. But again, I think almost every drug should be legalized and regulated.
I think the only ones
and
that shouldn't are
taxed.
opiates and meth.
Well, but meth is a type of drug. I mean, meth specifically.
Yeah, I
but
understand,
It's
but-
it's just fucking thwack. It's just an upper.
Yeah.
They sell caffeine pills that do the same thing.
Well,
they
don't do the same thing. but-
Well, I mean, but
have you taken them?
no, but like,
How do you know?
well, no,
But I-
they have military grade ones that are like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
meth in a fucking
no,
bottle.
but like,
Yeah, don't
you
even.
can
I'm
make
not
meth
talking no
out of
dose.
like mini thin pills, but it's not like meth
Oh,
just
they
made
use
out
one
of
of those?
caffeine. It's not. That's
Well,
not,
neither of those.
I
It's
know,
like an
well-
energy drink doesn't just have caffeine in it.
yeah.
Wasn't meth invented by the military as a way to keep
German
soldiers?
military, yeah.
Germany, right?
Yeah, well, because
Yeah.
they were running out of stuff at the end, so
Well,
they
they have
eat
the
less, they
personnel.
walk
Did
farther,
you,
because they're all
alert?
Stay,
doped up.
yeah, it's nice and alert.
No, and Hitler was a big amphetamine user
Oh, yeah.
as well, and he was prescribed to him by a doctor. Like he was getting amphetamines from his personal doctor.
I've seen those rave videos.
Yeah.
Well, it's him just rocking back and forth, and then they'll put like rave music to it. But it's just him, his body deteriorating,
Oh yeah,
shutting down.
and he probably got really good meth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought you were doing that.
I'm just saying because you could make it. The reason it's so bad
Yeah.
is because of the way it's made. It's the same thing with cocaine. Same thing with a lot of these drugs.
No, cocaine is a lot different than meth.
I'm just saying.
Meth, even like
He's
really
saying
good
quality.
pure meth, it's still gonna rot out your teeth. It's
Well,
still gonna
but-
destroy your brain. It's still like cocaine is a lot
alcohol?
different stimulant than like in meth.
I'm just saying as an example.
Right.
A lot
I
of
say
the
you should
badness
never be able
from
to
it-
go buy meth in a store. Like cocaine, yeah, I think you should be.
Well, I mean, it's a stimulant. Yeah, cocaine's a good one. Let's take cocaine instead
Yeah,
of
the
meth.
stimulant's made out of a
But,
natural.
They treat it with gas and they cut it with
Well,
God
yeah,
only
I mean-
knows what.
Yeah.
If you made it
But yeah,
clean,
like if it was legal, like you could go buy cocaine in a store that was like well made and didn't have all the crazy.
Is that what makes your
shit in
nose bleed?
it.
Is what it's cut with?
I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
what
all
they were
kinds of-
saying?
Yeah, I haven't studied too much on it, but
Yeah.
I mean, they get the coca leaves and they soak them in gas,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how they activate the drug or separate the drug. then they
I
somehow...
think we've all seen those Vice videos where they go into the jungles. And,
See, I'm not really too big into Vice.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, just
I
watch
think it
Narcos.
seems kind of
on
uppity.
Netflix.
Yeah.
See, I don't
There
like
was a
realistic
time
movies either.
when it was pretty good journalism. And
I
then
remember, yeah,
kinda took a step
10 years
back.
ago,
Yeah.
maybe 15 years ago, somewhere in there. It was pretty solid stuff. I think it was
Yeah.
probably more our age.
Well,
than
and it was kind
it
of
actually being
because Tim
done.
Pool was Vice, and then he left Vice.
Mhm.
Tim Pool, he's the beanie with the glasses, right?
Yeah,
I think
He's one of the biggest. He's big.
I think
he
he's
is now. Yeah.
come back again. I think.
No, he
I
started
don't
his own thing. He started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He went to North Korea a couple times. Filmed
I
it.
don't agree
Vice,
with him
Vice
in
like
any
pushed
way.
him out.
You don't agree with
No.
him? No.
But I do admire how successful he's become.
Yeah.
Through whatever means, I admire that for sure.
Yeah. Well, he didn't get rich off investigative journalism. He got rich like once he started.
Yeah, when he sold out, exactly.
No, I mean,
Corporate sponsors.
starting a podcast is not selling out.
No, taking money to
Yeah, I mean,
do stories in certain ways is selling out.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So when he sold out,
Yeah.
that's when he started making that money. Yeah.
So,
But I do admire it, either
Yeah.
way.
prisons should I be
Prisons, schools, hospitals.
all should be you said public.
Public, yeah, run
And
by the
for
state,
nonprofit.
run by the government. Yep.
That's what
and-
we all agree.
And I also, and I've said this before, like with mines and stuff.
Yeah.
That's where I think a lot of the government should be funded. The government should be running mines. The government should be running oil wells.
Yeah.
They should be run by the EPA, oversaw by the FDA, oversaw by the IRS,
Mhm.
and then oversaw by the Secret Service. You know, it goes all. There's 10 fucking levels, and then that money should be used to offset costs here in America. So we get cheap oil, we get cheap raw materials because that's what mining is.
Mhm.
We get all that stuff cheap. We sell a lot of it, top grade stuff overseas for a profit,
Right.
and that profit offsets tax costs. So we get all the raw materials cheaper, and then we get a lot of our overhead is paid for by that, or through like a sin tax, where you have legalized weed, cocaine, whatever plethora of drugs, and the government actually makes it, regulates it. Well, probably more regulates it than makes it,
Right.
because it'd be like Marlboro or something, right?
Mhm.
So they oversee it. They put levels to make it this safe or whatever. You know the drill.
Wasn't Marvel supposedly getting into the marijuana game?
I'm sure they would. You know, cigarettes are on their way out. I mean, they're a dying company.
Didn't we see a picture of marijuana being grown in the Midwest?
Like in a
Yeah.
giant field.
Yeah, open field.
They have some of that here.
It's massive. Well, I think here it has to be enclosed.
It depends on where you do it and how you do it. But if you're out in the middle of nowhere, a certain distance from towns and stuff, because there's some farms that are like that.
Yeah,
You can have giant, but you just have to have fences up.
but this was like
Yeah,
this was like
Well,
corn crop.
yeah.
Like, huge, massive.
I know that
whoa.
there has actually been for years in the Midwest, run by like, Philip and Morris or something, an actual pot farm for the government.
Yeah.
Subsidized. That's where like back in the day, remember they talked about how, there's like 1,200 people that get it from the federal government.
Mhm.
That's, they have
yeah.
basically a company that already does
Well, and
that.
sometimes there's huge marijuana fields, and it's not for the marijuana; it's for the hemp.
Hemp?
Oh, hemp, yeah. 'Cause
Here in the States? No, I didn't think you could.
They do. I've seen it
grow
on my
hemp.
Facebook.
Well, you,
I thought
you
the
go
hemp
with a
was
license,
coming
yeah.
from Canada.
Maybe I'm mistaken, but I could have swore it was like some
No, I think there's
like
some-
Oregon style places.
Yeah, because you just have to have a special license.
And it has to test. You have to
'Cause
test
that-
it
I mean,
differently.
But yeah, hopefully it's not
Instead
only
of,
obsolete. Like hopefully everywhere